In today's video we're going to have a look at this brand new two-wheel drive buggy. But why a two-wheel drive instead of a four-wheel drive? Well, there are a lot of reasons. Let me show you. And here is the car, guys. What do you think of it? Well, appearance-wise, I am totally in love with it. So normally, I'm not a very big fan of the very bright colors, but this time I chose a green one, and I must say, I'm totally in love with it. So the first thing I noticed when holding this car, this thing feels solid. So all the components have a very nice feel to it, and they feel very sturdy. So inside the box, you will get the car, the transmitter, a lot of instructions, and a very big area to give you that vintage look. So the transmitter itself, it runs on 4 AA's, which you need to supply of your own. The build quality feels very sturdy, it is capable of one-hand steering, and we've got a very nice foam wheel around there. So that's all fine. So we've got the on-off switch right over there, the steering trim, the throttle trim, and we've got the speed selector. So this is for the 100% throttle or the 50% throttle. So the transmitter itself, this is all fine. But now let's have a close look at the car. Like I mentioned, the first thing that you will notice when holding this car is quality. So this car feels just solid in my opinion. So in all the components, they got a very nice feel to it. And from experience, I can tell that these are just very high quality. So I crashed the Syncro 4 with the four-wheel drive system like a million of times, and it's still in one piece. So yeah, the build quality, you know, I know that these are just all fine. But why did I buy a two-wheel drive version instead of the four-wheel drive? Well, let me explain. So the two-wheel drive version will give you a totally different driving experience from the four-wheel drive. You have to have much more suddenness with the input of the controller, otherwise you will lose the rear end and you're out of the game. Another thing is the vintage driving experience. So back in my childhood days, you know, we only had rear-wheel driven cars. So yeah, a car like this will totally bring me back to my childhood days. But you know, this car has got all the modern features. So this is like the vintage looks, but with a modern driving experience. So for example, just look at the shocks. So these are very big bore oil-filled shocks, you know, and they are fully adjustable. And just look at the shock tower. So the shock tower is just one big solid component. So it's a composite material, and yeah, you know, I never had any problems with the previous car, so that's all fine. When we look at the suspension arms, you can see that these are made from a very thick composite material, and the quality of those are all fine. So the previous models, you know, I crashed those like a million of times and everything is still in one piece. So the quality is all fine. So one thing I'm already noticing is that the ball stud, so right over there, and you've got a little retainer sitting right over there, you know, it's too slacky in my opinion. So before we're going to take it out for a spin, I'm going to tighten those a tiny bit, because yeah, this is just too much play in my opinion, but that's just a small thing. So when we look at the rear of the car, you will find a very big rear wing, and this is all solid as well. A very big chunky shock tower, and obviously, yeah, very big chunky shocks, you know, and these are feeling very, very nice. I'm really looking forward to driving this car. So underneath the car, you will find the metal chassis plate or aluminium chassis plate right over there. Hex hardware throughout in this car, and one thing which is a very nice thing, all the hexes are just countersunk, but they are not flush with the chassis itself, they are a little bit deeper, and that's a good thing. So when you scrape this over the asphalt, you know, then the hexes won't wear out, so you can still reach the screws. So I really like that feature. But you know, let's remove the body and let's show you what's under there. Underneath the body you will find all the magic. Just look at this, guys. We've got a professional setup under the hood, and I really like that. So we've got a 2150 brushless motor with a 135 amp ESC sitting right over there, with the on-off switch mounted on the back. So the on-off switch is reachable when the body is mounted, and I really like that. So the battery tray is fully adjustable, and we've got the XT90 connector sitting right over there. So we've got a 25 kilogram waterproof servo, and this is the battery, or sorry, the receiver box, and all the linkages are just fine. So we do have got a servo saver sitting right over there, and the linkages, you know, if they are just the correct length, you don't need any adjustability, and I think that these are a little bit more sturdier than the adjustable ones, but that's maybe my preference. So we've got ball bearings throughout in this car, we've got all metal gears, we've got an oil-filled metal diff inside the rear. You know, this car is just built to perform. So let me throw in a battery and show you when it's on. The car's powered on, and the steering servo has got plenty of speed, and we have got plenty of power, as you can see, so that's all fine. So throttle wise, let's floor it, here we go. Whoa, here we go again. Yeah, this thing is going to rip. So for now, there's only one thing left to do, and that's take it outside for a spin. So guys, with the tarmac road, and the first thing we're going to do, we're going to speed run it. So GPS is mounted, so let's see how fast this car can go. So here we go. So like I mentioned, this is a rear wheel driven car, so the driving experience is totally different. So with the throttle we have to ease it in, otherwise you will lose the rear end. But here we go, so slowly ease it in, and here we go, full throttle. Whoa, crashed it already. Oh, let's recover that. The car is still in one piece and we hit the 62 kilometers an hour. So that's a pretty decent speed, but you know, let's give it a couple more tries and let's see if we can beat that. I gave it a couple more runs and crashed it a couple of times already, but you know, still it's 62 kilometers an hour. But you know, we want faster speed, so I'm going to change the pinion gear from the 13 tooth into the 15 tooth, and then we're going to speed run it again. So guys, I'm changing the pinion gear, and one thing I noticed is that this part, so the motor mount, is made of plastic or composite. So with the other models, this one is made for aluminium. Another thing is this one has got a slipper clutch and the four-wheel drive system has got a center differential. You know, I didn't realize that, but you know, now you know. So we're going to change the pinion gear into the 15 tooth and then we're going to speed run it. So guys, I gave it a couple more runs and I must say I'm pretty impressed with this car. So you have to ease the throttle in, otherwise you will lose the rear end. But until now, this car really drives amazing. I really like it so far. You know, oh, in the ditch again. Do you see what I mean? So it just loses the rear end. But you know, that's like, yeah, normal for a rear wheel driven car. But look at it go, man. It goes so straight. You had to do some trimming with the steering, but you know, now it's all fine. And I really love it. But you know, let's see what kind of speed we hit with the 15 tooth pinion gear. So guys, we hit the 69 kilometers an hour, so that's a pretty decent speed. I was expecting a little bit more, but it is what it is. But for now we're going to take it off road and see how it drives there. So guys, I've been driving this car around for a couple of minutes now, and I must be honest, I totally forgot how difficult it was to drive a two-wheel drive car. You know, back in the days, you know, we only had two-wheel drive cars, but you know, yeah, it's been a while, and I really struggled to keep the rear end on track. You know, it's really difficult again to relearn it again. So these days we are spoiled, you know, with all the luxuries of four-wheel drive systems, slipper clutches, you know, the center differentials, etc. You know, we really have to I really have to relearn to drive a two-wheel drive buggy again. But you know, still I enjoy it a lot. Just look at it go, man. So only 50% throttle currently, so I didn't put it into the 100% throttle, but it still rips, you know. I really like this car. You know, let's put it into the 100% throttle. So here we go. So let's mow some grass. So here we go. So into the grass, full throttle. Yeah. This thing ripped, you know. Just look at the tracks it just made. Full throttle. Oh, just lose the rear end again. You see, you really have to be gentle on the throttle and the steering, otherwise you will lose it. Onto the gravel. Ooh, did you see the rear end? Yeah. This thing screams. Yeah. I really like this car so far. But I really have to relearn how to drive again. I totally didn't expect that. But it doesn't matter, you know, it's all about the fun, and I am having great fun with this car. And that's the most important thing, right, isn't it? So for now, I'll just give you some driving footage and then I will come back to you with the final thoughts. So guys, that was the driving with the all new Team Corally, the Syncro with the two-wheel drive system. And what do I think of this car? Well guys, I must be honest with you. I thought, let's get a two-wheel drive car and I will rip it again like I did back in the days. But it's pretty difficult to drive a rear-wheel driven car. So, it's not the car to blame, it's totally me to blame. So I'm spoiled, I'm totally used to the four-wheel drive system, with the center differentials and all the modern components. So driving a two-wheel drive car again, for me it's pretty difficult. So I run up a couple of packs through it and still, controlling it, it's, I just lost the rear end like a million of times. So it's totally me to blame and not the car, I think. So quality-wise, everything is just perfect in my opinion. So every component inside this car is high quality. The motor did a pretty good job. The ESC is all fine. The steering surface has got plenty of power as well. So I tried to film a jump, so I crashed it a couple of times and very strange, falls as well. And everything is still in one piece. Obviously, we've got some scrapes and some dirt, but still the car is in one piece. So like I mentioned, I've got a bit of a mixed feeling about this car and I think it's more me to blame instead of the car. So yeah, I really like it still, but I have to relearn two-wheel driving again. Alright guys, that was it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. If you got any questions or suggestions, leave a comment below and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.